Yeah, I think at this point we're gonna jump into just kind of talking about what's it called, the new hero shooter, the hero arena shooter from Valve. I gotta change up one of the scenes real quick as we talk here, but let me go into browsing, and then I'll edit this. But Valve's got a new hero shooter, Overwatch style, reportedly, and in Overwatch style called Deadlock. And that's interesting because I think they've got some screenshots from a Twitter account. So Valve's new hero shooter, let's run through the article here. It's a reporter published a video on YouTube claiming he is currently in the closed alpha of a game called Deadlock, competitive game that Gabe, follower, is ended up sharing a bit more on this. So let me get out of studio mode and let me make sure Twitter's safe, because we don't want any sort of crazy Twitter bombs on this first.
Yeah, I don't have a hobby at Twitter.
I'd rather not just get insta banned because of some crazy Twitter thing. Okay, back into this.
Like Caitlin Clark something. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on with any of that.
So apparently some of the testers have been sharing some of the screenshots for this game. We'll go back into the article, but here we can just kind of see a straight up instant look at the game. Hero shooter abilities, we've got aiming. In a little bit, you'll see it kind of gives me a bit more of a Valorant hero shooter kind of style vibe, but the article is claiming it's like an Overwatch-esque. But I guess people also criticize Valorant by saying it was, an Overwatch-esque game of CS:GO.
I already feel it. Like I already had pretty strong opinions on the Marvel one. I could already there's no shot that this is going to be popular.
Well, it is a closed alpha. It's hard to like sort of ultimately tell a sentiment and feeling on
the art and the colors just don't work. It's like a Fortnite mixed with Overwatch, and the colors aren't vibrant enough. So it gives me like a oh my God, what was that one Halo clone that like everybody was jazzed about, and the game just like it just looked exactly as you could say it. It just didn't pop on the screen.
That's the only thing I'm thinking of is like the only thing I'm thinking of is like older games, and I don't think it was Shadowrun. Definitely not Shadowrun. No,
it's like Shadowrun is the precursor to Overwatch, my man. That was
I know Shadowrun's pretty solid.
But no, it was like Split or something like that. But anyway, yeah, like I don't know, I just like the colors just don't look right, which usually leads to like the player, like it looks not as vibrant as Overwatch, but the style of the map looks like Overwatch, and then the characters themselves already look like they're Fortnite characters.
Yeah,
and it'll probably be like a third person shooter, which I think hero shooters need to be third person shooters.
Really.
But yeah, I think they work a lot better that way.
Well, I think you touched on a lot of interesting points with this. Overall, we're seeing a lot of hero shooters come out now, and in a kind of era where you wouldn't think, like 2016 is when Overwatch won Game of the Year. I think it was the first shooter to win Game of the Year, and that's like what, almost 10 years ago, 8 years ago at this point. And now you have Marvel coming out. It's doing a closed alpha, right? Not a closed alpha, an open closed alpha. So it's all over the place right now. Valve is announcing they're doing a closed behind the scenes alpha test with just like testers. So it's interesting. A lot of developers are choosing to make this style of game right now, whereas like you talk to any Overwatch player or anybody in the video game scene a year ago, 2 years ago, when these projects would have started, at least they would say like, this game is dead. Like, don't even bother. Don't even go for it.
I mean, it's like interesting, right? Like, what's wrong with Overwatch? Like,
I know
Overwatch. Like, what's wrong with Overwatch? Like, I'm sure there's like things to tweak, but overall, is there anything that's glaring to be like, damn, this game is trash? And like, that's kind of not the case for like Blizzard games in general. I'm not gonna like no Diddy, but like, this is like absolutely
cough, Hearthstone, cough. Cough, Heroes of the Storm, cough.
I don't play Hearthstone, and Heroes of the Storm actually is like a fine game. It's just not good enough. Like, these are fine games. They're just not good enough. So like, what's wrong with Overwatch that this is going to solve?
I really
right?
enjoyed Heroes of the Storm. I just think it's such a hill to climb for League of Legends or any sort of like competition in that sense, because you've got Dota and League of Legends, and like those fan bases are just gonna be no, because it's not the thing I love. Like they're very territorial in that sense, and it's not an attack or a judgment, but I think that like Heroes of the Storm failed because it was competing with League, not because it was League, but because of like the community basically. Overwatch didn't really have that. And I think I love Overwatch. I'm the Overwatch guy in this podcast. We'll talk about a bunch of other games that we both love, but like, you know, that's kind of more our sections, our expertise on that. Speaking with that here, then wouldn't that make the challenge of these games like a Marvel Rivals or Deadlock, or Valve developing Deadlock or Team Fortress 3, wouldn't that make their challenge to kind of just meet it? Because like we had Paladins before, we had a couple other ones. Actually, you brought up a good point earlier. We were discussing this in pre-production. Let me get that site up, but there's also a game called Nyan Heroes. Hey, Billy here. Wanted to take a quick minute to let you know a few different things. If you enjoyed the videos so far, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps us out, and it tells the algorithm to share it with more people. You can find the Esports Meta live every week on Twitch and YouTube. It's where we film the podcast or hang out, play games, and chat. If social media is more your vibe, check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, or Twitter if you use Threads. Does anybody use Threads? This is a video game community that's excited to talk about esports, so jump into the conversation. Of course, you can find more videos like this here on YouTube. Just hit that subscribe button right there or there. Thanks for watching, and let's get back to the show. Let me
It's not as good as like Overwatch, but it is an early access game. The art style is fine, the colors are fine. You can see what I'm saying, right? Like, look at the colors. Like, the colors are engaging for people who like to play video games, just in general. Like, all the other colors in the Marvel one, in the Valve one, they're all muted. It's not engaging. It makes it feel like boring sometimes, you know?
It's a little bit lifeless.
Yeah, like right here, he's just jumping at people, and you're like, that still looks pretty fucking cool, like, you know. And this is like an Overwatch clone, but it is, again, it's like a third person shooter. I think any hero shooter or in general hero game works better as a third party, but you know, that's my opinion.
Right. And like to the topic of like a third party game, third person game, not third party game. To the topic of a third person game, I think it's fine, but the controls need to really feel good, really feel smooth. I like third person games like Gears of War. I wasn't a super fan of, but they had really great controls when it came to like traversing and competitive gaming and shooting. And that's one that I think
that A button didn't work in that game. It was like absolute monster of a button in Gears of War. It was real smooth hitting that A button. You up against the wall, A button. You're trying to get to another wall, A button. You're trying to dash and ride along a wall, A button. That shit, like, it cooked.
100%, dude.
I had to replace my controller because I hit that A button so much.
I have a friend in Cali. Shout out Colby if you're watching. I don't think you are, but I have a friend in Cali who was like semi-pro with it, top of the ladder always, and was in some tournaments. Never took it to the next stage. I think partly because of he was like 13 at the time. But dude, he had to buy so many controllers because he destroyed the A button.
Yeah, like that game. Dude, it held that game together, man. It was great. It's a good game.
And like it didn't feel bad when it did that, because I know some games will. I remember Brink. Brink was a game I was really into and traversing, like Mirror's Edge, a lot of parkour, a lot of climbing, etc. And like Halo Infinite more recently, that's another game where you're like trying to, vault a barrier or a little small wall, or kind of just, prop yourself against it. Like, it doesn't feel as good as some of these other things, and Gears of War was able to do a good job. So my whole point here is that a game like Nyan Heroes or like Marvel Rivals with the third person point of view, you need to have smooth controls. You need to have tight, good controls. It's hard to tell for something like Nyan Heroes here, because it is a closed early access, not closed, it's an early access alpha sort of build. So they're just looking to develop the game and get it out there. But this looks like a lot of fun. Going back into the Valve thing, like you said, excuse me real quick, going back to the Valve game, there's less of an excitement because it's more muted. It's more realistic tones and stuff. And that's a definite art choice. And maybe that's what they're going for because they develop games in this sort of manner and they like the idea of CSGO. Maybe they're hitting that demographic a bit more, whereas Marvel Rivals was definitely trying to hit like a world market, maybe an Asia market, Pacific market. But sorry, go ahead, man.
Nah, man, I don't think CSGO players are the ones that you want to bring like, yo, we're going to get like some smoke clouds and shit in this game. We're gonna bring down airstrikes. They're not gonna. They're not those players. Like they're not looking for like funky nonsense, random shit in their game at all. Like at all. They want to know that they can shoot really far away, very accurately if they stand still and shoot their weapon. Like so, like they're not the crowd to really like pull in. Like Valorant took like a few people from it, but even then, like I don't like how Valorant moves. I would love to see Apex like just package their engine up and just start selling it out to people. And I'd like Overwatch to do the same thing. I think Blizzard is an idiot for trying to keep making Overwatch instead of just selling that engine and letting everybody give us like great games.
But like that's like of course proprietary information. Say that 5 times fast. That's of course proprietary information. The Blizzard Activision, now Microsoft, is going to hold on to that. They might distribute it amongst themselves, sell it to the same companies within Microsoft world, but they're not going to give it to like Riot. They're not going to sell it to Riot for regardless of how much money it is, because it's like
use it for Halo.
What's that?
Grab it and use it for Halo.
Absolutely. Like, I'm with that.
Just use these cool engines, man. Like Apex is great. Like Apex engine, the way that it works, how smooth it is. Like that's why I have like really no faith in like in this Valve one. This is the first time I'm seeing these screenshots, and I'm telling you, it's the exact opposite of like a person who is imagining Team Fortress.
Well, even like. Yeah, sorry to jump in, but even with that, this is the first time a lot of people are seeing it. Like, not just because of our audience and we're sharing with our wonderful audience, like and subscribe, but it's also because it's like first time it's out. It really just released and leaked this week, and like you can see the specific details that they're trying to do. Even like this cable car wiring up here, whatever they're trying to do on the high rise, they're more focused on the details here. But that's a lot more visual clutter. So maybe they are looking for like that precision mentality, which may or may not hurt the game, like we're talking about. In a hero shooter, you want wacky stuff.
Lucio? Is this just like air gear, and everybody's Lucio, and you get to ride the lightning on the power lines and stuff like that? Like that's what
maybe it's how the payload. Maybe it's how a payload or something pushes through. Because then, if we go back to the fourth screenshot here, a couple of the things is you have all the different terrain things, and that feels very Overwatch-esque. You have the high wires here, and you've got the green neon thing walking through it. Like, I don't know if that's like a pathing for the hero or a pathing for the payload, kind of like pointing you this direction. Here we go. But then you also have in the top right here, talking about lanes. And I know Overwatch, we have lanes, but it's more so considered routes than lanes. Lanes is something you talk about more in CSGO and League of Legends and Valorant, where it's like, okay, here's subway side, here's, side B, gate A, door A kind of things, and like obviously, League of Legends is a lot simpler, top lane, bottom lane, mid lane, and then jungle. And it's pretty uniform in that way. So I'm curious by those three things that I just spotlit. The map design is kind of Overwatch-esque, but then you have this floating neon wire color thing happening. Is that what's going on there? And then you have this map with colors kind of orienting you, telling you what's going on, which way to go, and they're calling it lanes, saying they have 4 different lanes to get to this midpoint. So like big question marks. I'm sure somebody's talked about it online, and if somebody knows, leave it in our comment. We'll take a look at it. We'll do our expert analysis, but it's interesting to see how this goes, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of friction points it runs into, because I agree with you where it's like the color palette was the first takeaway I had, and it feels muted and dull, and like that, not necessarily a bad thing, but it could be a targeted thing, and that could be boring.
If Jubilee would look stupid in your hero shooter, Jubilee the X-Men. If Jubilee the X-Men would look stupid in your hero shooter, it's going to suck. That's guaranteed. And Marvel can take that to heart right now. Because if Jubilee looks stupid in their game, like with all the colors and the fancy stuff, like if that looks stupid on the muted backdrop, it's going to be rough. Like, I really want nothing more than these games to actually like just be really good and solid. And by the way, the game was called Splitgate.
Splitgate. I remember Splitgate.
Yeah, Splitgate was a Halo clone. That was like cool, but it just wasn't. It just didn't do enough. It added portal mechanics to Halo. Like it's like what was wrong with Halo? Well, in their opinion, nothing. Except for you just lack portals. So that's what I'm saying. Like what's wrong with Halo? I mean, what's wrong with like Overwatch, right?
Yeah.
Like what are they going to solve? What problem is the player base seeing that they're going to solve?
Or another question to look at it, and like this is one a lot of YouTubers or social media people kind of struggle with. It's what is my niche? Why would people choose me over somebody else? Especially when you have an established game like Overwatch, why would they choose me? Marvel Rivals, it's pretty straightforward. We already said it. Even if it's not a great game, people are going to play it because it's Marvel IP. It's going to be Disney backed. You're going to love it because you get to be the Spider-Man kind of thing.
Just straight cash grab. There is no doubt in my mind that game is going to release with 2 different battle passes, 58 different skins that you can buy, like right off the top.
And they're definitely gonna have like a mobile version. Definitely gonna have a mobile version on top of the PC and like console versions. And then you've got Deadlock, which is still like alpha and stuff. Hopefully they get a change. What are you giggling about there, man? What are you giggling about?
As soon as your game goes to mobile, it's not a fucking game anymore. It's a mobile game. As soon as your game is on mobile, it's a mobile game. It's not a game anymore.
Yeah, man, but you're saying
it's balanced. I'm telling you right now, like that's why like Pokemon Unite can never be a PC or a console competitive game because it's on mobile. Like you're just splitting your player base for no reason. Like it's just like Overwatch. Playing on computer versus playing on the Xbox, and I can't use a keyboard and mouse. It's just splitting your player base. So, wow, they all love doing it, but I don't know.
So like I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree that there's a lack of competitiveness, a true competitiveness when you get to like a mobile, because it's hard to not police it, but just like kind of corral it into like a true competitiveness. Pokemon Unite. Except for something that might be the only exception, but it doesn't matter because once you go to mobile, you're going for the cash grab, like we're talking about here. I think Pokemon Unite also struggles with the fact that it's Pokemon. Pokemon doesn't want to take things that seriously to a degree where all these sweaty gamers want to. They want it to be accessible. They want it to be accessible to a lot of people, so they'll go with the cash grab over the competitiveness every day. Even if it's a 50-50 split, it's still not going to be competitively viable, but it's going to make money, and like people are going to play it in a serious enough a way.
That's fine, but then we can't call them esports.
I'm with that.
You just can't call them esports, but yeah, it's a definite money grab, just in general. But like I'm in a firm belief that it's just like as soon as your game is like. You're trying to sell me on like mobile game. Oh, well, you can play some when you're like on the go and you just got a couple minutes to do something. Like, no, like there's other things that I can do with my time on my phone, like games and stuff,
Yeah. So I was just queuing up a little bit of Marvel Rivals. I'm going to bring that back up in just a second. Turn the music back on. There we go. Because this site. Oh my god, I'm trying to go to this site and it's already blaring a bunch of different like. Hey, look at this. And like, obviously this is a leaked image of Deadlock, but here is a revealed trailer. Like this is a much different, it's a little bit more pop to it for sure. A little bit more vibrancy alongside the IP of all the cool dudes that you get to play. I got into closed alpha. I did enjoy the game. It was a lot better than I thought, but I did run into the same sort of control problems. And again, it's a closed alpha. It's the first iteration a public has gotten to play with it. So I hope they tighten up the experience of that third person aiming system, because I think that could kill the competitiveness. People will get good at it, but it doesn't matter. And like you have this anime vibrancy of these characters that happen. So I want to just show this as a spotlight to contrast what's happening in Deadlock a little bit to the point. Because like even here, pausing, this is Valhalla. It's not Valhalla. I can't remember. I'm not going to try to. But right now, what's up?
The map looks good. The characters look out of place in this game. Like the characters are the biggest problem with the game. Like look at Spider-Man. Damn, that's a good looking Spider-Man.
Well, I think I paused it I do think I paused it where he's getting a buff right now, or he's doing a power up. So like he does, but again, alpha. I've played some alphas. Yeah, I've played some alphas, tested some alphas before, and like there'd just be the checkered boxes floating around kind of things, no texture and stuff. So like credit where's credit's due on this is a pretty solid. It's a live alpha testing. They're going to go for like an early access, I'm assuming. But like either way, yeah, I feel the backgrounds look solid, super sick. I do feel like the characters are a little bit floaty. I think to your point or my point, I feel like they might be they need to be more vibrant, or you feel like they need to be more vibrant in Rivals at least?
Their whole character models are off. Their character models aren't good for this game. Like your animation models are fine when you're like looking behind it, but like look when she goes up, when like hell is bombing down on people, even right here, it doesn't look good. Right? Like the abilities look fine. Look at Strange. That looks awful. That looks awful. Like, it's just the way the characters move. It looks like they're put on the map and they're not in the map.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, honestly, that's some of the feedback I provided in a couple of the surveys I did with the closed alpha. Everything feels floaty. Everything feels like you're ice skating. Like, and it does look like you're ice skating, like you're saying. Like, you're not part of the environment. There's no step, no footprint to your step. It's just that you're like floating, moving while you're doing the animations. Again, closed alpha, so I'm not like too critical on that. I would like to see that updated as they get to an actual release, even if it's an early access beta release. But I agree with you on that one, and I get that point with it. Just like lessons to learn if we talk about the deadlock thing. Yeah, what's up?
Just like look at that, like look at that information on the screen. Like they're gonna have to fix all of that.
Well, yeah, and I know like UI is one of the easiest things to fix, and Overwatch specifically had so many different iterations of the UI when they're in beta into release, and then even after release, they've done so many different small changes that you don't even realize until you look at a video from like a year, 2, 3, 4, etc. Each interval, you can see a dramatic change. But anyway, not to go total shill on that.
It just looks like they're blending in, right? Like they're kind of like melting into the map almost. Like a person who's colorblind is going to have a real hard time with this.
Me? I'm colorblind.
Like, it just remind it looks like Overwatch, except they're comfortable with your character just getting lost in the sauce, which is like
again, alpha. I gotta stop stuttering. I'm not being a shill. I'm sorry to be a little bit of voice of reason.
Relax.
The last time I'm going to say it, it's an alpha. I want that to change. I want to see that change, but that is very beta. I want to see the beta. Give me the beta. But that's a very, very astute criticism of that, and I agree with you on that. We've talked a bunch about the Valve game. We talked about a bunch about the Valve game. We've kind of talked about what we'd like to see happen with the Valve game or with other hero shooters, and how it is interesting how we're seeing a almost explosion of hero arena shooters happening in this manner. Any final thoughts you want to touch on that we didn't get to fully explore?
Apex, get in on this shit.
Right.
Apex, get in on it. You'll beat everybody. I firmly believe that if they made like an Overwatch style game, they would probably just end up like winning. In general,
dude, we were saying that last week when we were talking about Apex and like how awesome it would be. And I did finally get to see that clip of the hacker dropping in like 60 bots on a dude. Zombie tower defense mode, amazing for that game. And then arena shooter like that. Use the characters you already have, plop them in, and just have it like 5v5 in like a section of the map. I'm sure if like somebody's doing mods, they could do it themselves and just kind of test it out. It'd be amazing. That engine is so chef's kiss. Titanfall, amazing. Not the best story, pretty solid story. A lot of fun to play, but like that engine was.
It's good enough to make me think that I need to go back and play Titanfall 2. I haven't, but it's a good game. It's almost got me. To play Titanfall 2. I'm not going to do it. I'm not doing it.
Titanfall 2 though, dude, man. Titanfall 2 was a solid competitive game, let alone the PvE stuff. So like even if you want to go into comp PvP or just casual PvP, it was a very solid game. And the movement was really what made that game a lot of fun. And like it comes down to that engine, man, the engine and the physics.
Yeah. I mean, I also would you just made me think of this, but like I really would enjoy more PvE stuff that isn't not the Overwatch style. Like I like a small story of like PvE stuff. Like Overwatch stuff is like cool when they do like the PvE things. But I think like a lot of these games would be like super fun. Like I think Apex and Overwatch could have like a nice Destiny-esque campaign, but like you know they're like, he makes no money, and it's like attach skins to it. Like I don't know what to tell you, dude. Like you're afraid it's not going to make money. Do something, and then add skins to it, and then you'll make all your money back.
We'll see if EA does it. They have the opportunity. But I think Blizzard has squandered the Overwatch opportunity unless it comes out as something completely different. Because I think Bobby Kotick sold that out real fast, real hard. And like, I can't say from personal experience. But I definitely have seen a lot of people talk about it from personal experience, and there's fingers to point and blame on that. And like, it's such a missed opportunity. Even seeing an Apex Legends or Overwatch anime series like Riot's done with Arcane. But
Riot, that's actually shut down their MMO.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, they just.
I did see that.
Just canceled back to the drawing board, and everybody was.
I know they stalled it out and they're gonna like regress it back, but yeah, a bigger conversation, a wholly different topic. But we're gonna move into another different topic.